Good morning and welcome to our board meeting of October 8th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led today by
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jamie. You have before you today's agenda. I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We have some introductions. I see some new faces in the back there. So, who wants to join us first?
Probation's gonna come join you if that's okay.
All right,
Okay.
good morning.
Sure. Hello, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Brett Borchert. He's our new truancy liaison officer.
Oh,
Good morning, Brett.
morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the family. And tell us a bit about yourself, if you would.
Originally from St. Peter area, grew up here, and have been living in Duluth the last 7 years. I was working at Woodland Hills as a supervisor up there, juvenile treatment facility, and was in the National Guard for 6 years as well. Just got out last year and excited to come back home and work with the county here.
Terrific.
Super. Welcome home and thank you for your
Yes,
service.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And good morning.
It's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Fromm. Sarah started with us on September 23rd. She's our new administrative support specialist, and we are very happy to have her on board.
Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Fromm. I originally am from St. Clair. I went to school in Iowa for a couple years and I came back, finished at MSU. I was at MRCI for about over 6 years doing in-home programs there. And I currently live in Lower North Mankato with my family. So.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us.
Yorkish 51, Mr. Chair?
Well, potentially. I'm not sure. I'm guessing so. We have our consent agenda before us.
Move approval.
We have a motion for approval.
We have a second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We have reached that time in our agenda for public appearances. Going once. Public appearance, please address the microphone with your name, address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. Going twice, going thrice. On to the next item. Property services. Property services.
He is on his way.
He is, okay, all right. We jumped ahead on him, didn't we? Oh, there he is. Just step right up to the microphone.
Good morning.
Do not, good morning.
Yeah, I got it here.
Good morning.
I just
Yeah.
have,
Go
I just
ahead.
have the one request for you, for your consideration today. That's a request of applicant Burkholz and Associates and property owner Marlene Hone for approval of registered land survey number 75. The site is located in Lake Prairie and Traverse Townships and is zoned agricultural preservation. Minnesota state statutes states that a registered land survey shall be approved in a manner required for the approval of subdivision plats. The proposal essentially involves combining 5 existing lots into 2 new lots. One new lot will contain 176 acres of ag land. The other new lot will contain the 5-acre building site. Presently, the building site crosses 3 of the 5 existing parcels. The request would allow for the sale of the building site separate from the ag land. There was no testimony at the hearing. However, prior to the hearing, neighboring landowners Chris Davis and Kevin Neeson commented that they did not object to the request. After due consideration, the commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. We seek a motion to approve registered land survey numbers 75.
We have
Second.
motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brown? Yes. Morrow?
Yes.
Lippke?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Seth.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. One item from Public Works today, and that is to consider right-of-way acquisition resolution for project SP 52612008. This right-of-way plat and temporary easement drawing is for our County Road 12 project, where we have the where County Road 12 is flooded. And so the right-of-way plat number 29 identifies all the new permanent right-of-way that we need to construct the road. The temporary easement drawing is just what it is, temporary easements. We will be doing some sloping work outside where that permanent right-of-way will be acquired. Once the project is done, those temporary easements revert back to full ownership of those adjoining landowners. And so the resolution contained in your packet authorizes myself to move forward with acquisition of the new permanent right-of-way, acquisition of the temporary easements, and also authorizes myself and the county attorney to utilize condemnation if necessary, if there are parcels that we aren't able to negotiate with property owners on. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have on this item.
Do you have any questions?
That's standard procedure, everything you just said.
Yeah, yep.
No, not on this.
No?
No.
Okay, okay, very good.
I'll move
Hearing none,
adoption of the
Move
resolution.
adoption of the resolution. We have a second. Any other discussion? Any other queries? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown? Yes. Commissioner Gao?
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, then I would indicate that the record should reflect that Commissioner Lipke abstained.
And I will note that Commissioner Lipke has abstained from this vote due to potential conflict.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yes,
might.
sir.
So what I was just going to ask is just a broader update of how the 12 project is moving through the process.
Oh, it's definitely moving. We're still in project development phase. The overall design is getting close to being finalized, except for that area where we're doing the grade raise. Of course, that's the most difficult part of the project. We're currently in discussions with the DNR about how best to maintain equal water levels on both sides of the road when we do the grade raise. There's a couple different options that we've been looking at. One, of course, is to put a pipe in, but I have some significant concerns about doing that, mainly regarding long-term performance of that culvert. The other option that we've been looking at is basically a fairly wide and deep rock trench at some point through that grade raise that would basically allow that water to work its way through basically coarse rock. The concerns I have with a pipe with the kind of settlements that we're looking at, we'll get most of that settlement out when we do the surcharge, but there's still going to be long-term settlement probably over the next 10 to 15 years, that when you have 2-3 inches of settlement on a pipe of that length, you could look at possible damage or collapse of that. And so we're trying to work through those issues with the DNR to arrive at a final solution. There's here soon there will be a MnDOT archaeologist or a historian coming out to look at if there's any potential for historic farmsteads And so there will be a report drafted for that. Hopefully they don't identify any historic farm places that we have to somehow mitigate our work that we'll be doing. There will also be a MnDOT archaeologist coming out at some point to investigate the entire project limits, and in some areas do what they call a shovel test to determine if there's potential for any artifacts buried in the ground. And so that process is going to be moving forward. And of course, all the environmental permitting. We're getting very close to being able to submit all the environmental permits for review. So we're moving along.
Thank you.
Lot of work to go yet, and probably I'm hoping within the next month or so that we'll be starting to send out our offers for right-of-way and temporary easements. So that's
Mr.
kind of
Chair.
where we're at on 12.
So Seth, how come they're concerned about buildings even if they're well away from the right-of-way, historic buildings?
Well, anytime you undertake a major grading project utilizing federal funds, by law, they're required to come out and determine if there are historic properties and if the project and the project work will at all adversely affect those
So even
properties.
if it's 100 or 200 feet away, they still are concerned?
Yeah, they are still concerned that, if they do find one and there's there's historic barns out there and they become historic because there's a real specific method that the structure was put together, and so you don't necessarily want to tear those barns down. But if they're 200 feet off our project limits, we're not going to be affecting that barn by any means. And
That'll just be a notation in the plan process.
yeah, well, it'll be a notation in the overall environmental document that we have to put together that MnDOT and Federal Highway signs off on. And quite frankly, our disturbance along farm places along there is very minimal.
Mhm.
Yeah. It gets to be a bigger issue when you're doing, say, a brand new alignment of a road or say like a Highway 14 where you're adding lanes
Sure.
and whatnot. Yep.
Thank you.
Well, as long as we have you here, since we posted the County Road 1 is fully open,
Yep, County Road 1 opened last Friday. We have some additional work yet to complete out there. The erosion control and seeding is left to be done, but with the copious amounts of rain that we keep receiving, that topsoil's been quite muddy, and so we're hoping either yet today or tomorrow the site becomes dry enough and they can finish that work.
but we don't anticipate any more closures to accomplish that work. They'll be
No,
on
no,
site.
that, we talked to the seating contractor and they were fine with being able to do that work under traffic, so
Great.
it's nice to have that open.
County Road, and again, thank you and your staff for doing as much expedition on that project as you could under the constraints that our government left us with.
Yeah, that was
So-
a challenging process.
It
but
was, and we
got
appreciate
through
your
it.
efforts, and we certainly appreciate everyone's in the community's patience with us in making sure that we could get this done in an economical manner for their benefit also, so thank you for that. County Road 14, we've got some
Yes.
thoughts on that.
County Road 14, we are still planning on doing a temporary emergency type project yet this fall. Essentially, we want to protect that slide area from any further damage from moisture and rain and snow and whatnot. We also want to protect that shoulder area where the guardrail has been compromised. And so I've been working with Gale Tech Engineering at SRF Consulting Group in developing those plans and specifications for that temporary restoration project. The draft set of plans and specifications are sitting on my desk as we speak. They came in late yesterday for our review. We're hoping that we're able to review those, offer up any additional comments, get those finalized, and then start advertising for some bids on that immediately. Our estimated dollar value is below the threshold to go through the official bidding process, so more than likely we'll be looking at a short advertisement period of 7 to 10 days before we open up those bids. And so depending on how those dates fall out, I'm hoping that we can either award a contract by the next board meeting, or if the dates just don't line up, I may be requesting a special meeting to get that awarded as soon as possible, because we're running out of time.
Run out of daylight and time.
Yeah,
and weather.
and so we hope that this project can be accomplished and done, at least by the 1st of December.
Okay, great. Anything else we should be hearing about that we haven't asked about?
Work started on the new parking lot, but of course now with more rain, the river, I was quite surprised how much that has actually come up. In the northeast corner of that lot, we have about 80 feet of retaining wall that needs to be built. The rock foundation that we have to put down first before you start laying that first course of retaining wall block is probably at right now about 2 feet below the existing water level. So we can't embark on any kind of retaining wall construction, but SMC will continue to do subgrade excavation on the rest of the lot, and we'll progress with as much of the work as we can until water levels stop us. And so the river remains high from now until the rest of the construction season. The project more than likely will have to be delayed and finished next year.
Okay, after the low water season starts next spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any projections on river levels since this last weekend?
No, the National Weather Service maintains river gauging and estimations of what those peaks look like, and I haven't had a chance to look at that.
Yeah, it came up quick. I think it was supposed to crest today or tomorrow, and then it started to wreck back, assuming no more precipitation, but that's probably going to change yet again.
My world I judge by what's in the meridian, and
Yeah.
it's fast.
Yep.
Very much. Anything else? Hearing none. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
All right. Yep. You're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
Oh, Mr. Chair,
Todd?
do you have any conversations with those people over on County Road 14 about the speed limit issue, or?
Yeah, I did call that gentleman back,
Okay.
and we had a conversation, and I explained
You explained the process.
the process and whatnot on that. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Informational items. Do you have anything for us? Thank you. Chair's report. Since we were together at our last board meeting, I attended South Central ECB, Electronic Communications Board, South Central EMS Board, and MRCI Financial Committee and MRCI Board meeting.
In
That's
Brown
all I
County,
have.
Brown Nicollet.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're right, I did not include that,
Mhm.
because that's in a separate sheet. Yes, Brown Nicollet Community Health. Madam Trent?
I have the Tri-County Solid Waste, Brown Nicollet Community Health Board, where Commissioner Kemp and I tested out the crowbar on the way home.
Very much so.
food at
The food,
crowbar.
yeah,
It's
just the,
it's a very nice rebuild.
yeah,
It's
it
very
was.
tastefully done.
Glad to have them open.
Special planning and zoning board meeting, and that's about all for me.
Commissioner Morrow?
I was right there with Commissioner Drown, with Tri-County Solid Waste and Brown Nicollet Community Health.
We missed you at the crowbar.
I
Yeah, we
know,
did.
I should have.
Yeah. John?
Yeah.
I was in the Smoky Mountains, missing the Brown County Public Health, and other than calls and comments and questions about roads being opened, that's it.
We have any outstanding meetings and conferences that we need to address? I don't think we do we? Everybody has talked to Abby about the state AMC conference, so I think we're resolved there. And entertain a motion to approve per diems and expenses.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
thank you. We have a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And
Just before you adjourn, I can make a couple of announcements.
I would enjoy those, please.
We had Know the Truth at Nicollet last week, and there was a nice turnout for that, and thank the Nicollet Lions Club for providing us with a meal before that. And there'll be another Know the Truth event October 30th at the South Central College. The booths open at 6 and the presentation, I believe, starts at 6:30. That is an event for both children, or the students and parents. There'll be a simultaneous presentation going on, so I encourage everyone to attend that. And then tonight at the St. Peter Middle School, there is a Equal Access to Justice presentation that I and Jim Dunn and Probation and Public Defender's Office, ACLU, and Southern Minnesota Legal Services will be participating in presentation along with the St. Peter Police Department about just explaining the court system.
When does that start, Michelle?
7 p.m. and it's in the middle school cafeteria, I believe.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you for all your work in those areas. We appreciate it. Anything else? Hearing and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn the commissioners meeting.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned. And do you want a break or do you want to continue right on? Okay. Ready to continue? Then Abby won't have to push the button. Perfect. I'd like to call the Drainage Authority meeting to order. You have the agenda and items before you. Our first item is our consent agenda.
I'll move approval.
We have a motion to approve, which would be reflect the minutes of our last gathering. Have a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have an opportunity for public appearances. Anybody wishing to make a public appearance, now is your opportunity. Going once, going twice, going thrice. That portion is closed. This next portion of our agenda, this portion of this meeting is closed for attorney-client privilege pursuant to Minnesota statutes Chapter 13D to discuss the potential litigation regarding the improvement project on Nicollet County Ditch 62A. We have completed our closed portion of our meeting. Is there any additional items that need to be discussed at this time for the Ditch Authority? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. The meeting is adjourned.